So let's talk about Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson, success in WWE. Now, Bryan Danielson launched into the WWE universe a couple of months ago now on WWE NXT, and indeed I think Bryan Danielson, as he's now known, Daniel Bryan, is now starting to head in the right direction. We saw this past Monday, he took on the man we just spoke about, Dave Batista, and indeed this was really shocking. I really could not believe I was looking at this classic Ring of Honor performer in there with almost the anti-Ring of Honor in Dave Batista.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, and watching it live I was shocked and said, whoa, this is going to be fun. I wonder, will it be a full-on squash or will they go the test of time? And certainly Danielson really displaying just how good he is once again, and pulling it off with a guy like Batista I think would be tough. I can imagine. Dave, not the greatest of mat wrestlers, but that aside again, Danielson I think kind of looked the stronger man, and a lot of really nice submissions, a lot of high flying, and just general great wrestling from Bryan Danielson.
He looked to me like he had stepped it up. He looked to me like he had a new, almost WWE shine to him. He's appeared to be just so much more. Given that limelight and given that chance on Monday nights is exactly what Daniel Bryan needs to sort of, I think, just cement his position in there, because we've had so much bad talk about him on the commentary. I mean, Michael Cole basically saying that he comes from the minor leagues, referring of course to Ring of Honor, and that's very offensive, especially now when it looks like this past week on Monday we had CM Punk in there and Daniel Bryan. I mean, finally, after all these years, we're starting to see Ring of Honor talent making it up there to the top. Yeah,
it is. It's great to see those guys on the big show, and you can just imagine the catch-ups and the travel stories they would have, especially hanging out with the big boys and your trips and whatnot. But yeah, I think Danielson, it's kind of funny when you think, well, they obviously know how good he is, and that he's, you know, I suppose a good catch for them, no matter what show he's on. But to have him on Raw, I think it is probably a good move this week up against Batista. Fair enough, but still you can showcase just how good he is, and it would be good to see him down the line being pushed above US title territory or IC territory. I'd like to see him in the kind of main event level in that kind of a league, but again, who knows, we could have a Braden Walker on our hands.
Wasn't it amazing to see him booked competitively? They didn't bury the guy, they didn't just squash him. Dave Batista is clearly in bad stead right now. I mean, the office would usually just book a guy like Danielson to just get squashed.
Yeah, it's kind of funny as well when you think, is it half shoot or is it half, you know, just testing the water with him when you put him up against like guys like Batista and Cena. I mean, he's been up with the big players, and you got to imagine, is it for entertainment value for the boys in the back, or is it a full-on, let's see what this kid can do and see how he fares out with the big players like your Batista and Cena. But it'll be an interesting couple of weeks, I think, going forward to see what else they put him in and what kind of programs they let him run with.
Where do you think Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, it's always going to be tricky to make that distinction, I'm never going to remember to, but where's he going to go now? I mean, I thought he looked powerful on Raw. I thought this is a place where he could go, but then at the same time you'd worry that if they did put him there, perhaps he would end up in that sort of squash match position where every match and every time you see the guy, he's getting Evan Bourne. I mean, certainly we've got those two guys on there. What's the point? Should he go to SmackDown? Does he need somewhere else to go? I mean, I'm kind of lost.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of hype, I think, when when Matt Sydal, Evan Bourne, signed to WWE, and people thought, you know, he would be pushed up into the big picture pretty easily. But he's kind of stayed in that safe mid-card territory, and probably they don't want to push him too hard, but they do get him over. But when you said Evan Bourne, it's exactly what I was thinking, because he can end up in that kind of a situation and just be over with the crowd and kind of come out and do his flash high spot moves and let that be that. But I don't think that would be a good thing for him, and I don't think it'd be a good thing for them to do, because when you look at guys like Wade Barrett and him, Bryan Danielson in the ring, they're convincing and they look like they should be there. I mean, you see Wade Barrett in action this week, and it felt legit. It felt like he should be on this show anyway. It's not I'm over the NXT thing. And likewise with Danielson, they're both just good fun to watch.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Daniel Bryan now in the future. Like you mentioned there, the US belt would be perfect for him, and push a guy who can be, at least ability-wise, on par with a Rey Mysterio. I mean, I know Rey Mysterio has almost sort of a young gimmick. He appeals to the younger fans, and that's exactly how he's been pushed recently. As we know, it's PG now. But Bryan Danielson could be here at the right time. Hopefully, in 5 years' time, all this PG stuff will be out the window, and we'll get Bryan Danielson on there cutting promos and shooting on Michael Cole. We can hope.
Yeah, I mean, that would be absolutely great to see. And he's got it in him. He's a funny guy. Any of the interviews, if anyone's seen his stuff before WWE or any of his YouTube stuff, he is a funny guy, and he's business smart too. He knows what he's dealing with up there, and having done the indies for so long, quite like a lot of the other ones that come in like Punk, they have that knowledge, and I think they know how to play the game. No pun intended. But I think he's a keeper, you know, and I think it would be stupid for them to start burying him and squash matches, even if it is for their own entertainment. Exactly, their entertainment as opposed to wrestling, and that's the one thing Danielson can deliver.
Yeah, that's the main point, isn't it? He can wrestle like not a lot of other guys can, and he can deliver a style that he may never have a chance to showcase, unfortunately, but certainly he's been booked well in NXT, and at least he's been sort of given a partner in that of The Miz, and The Miz is getting over with fans maybe a little bit older than the younger audience, who now kind of see The Miz as a real star, and without a doubt, if the fans are into a guy, that's all it is. So maybe that's what Bryan Danielson needs, a bit of fan support. I know a lot of the Ring of Honor guys probably aren't watching him on Raw. Maybe they check it now and again. But sadly, the WWE is so safe now, as you've mentioned. What can we say? Will Bryan Danielson go further? We wait and see.